Hey, what's up people? It's not Locks here. I got a question coming in through the email from a fellow dreadhead that's wondering about how I started off my locks. Okay, so this email is coming in from Benjamin Jasinski Ashon. Pardon me if I mispronounced your name. Here we go. I am just interested in how many locks you started off with when you initially started locking process. I am mixed race with thick but soft curly hair and would like to obtain locks similar, I have a lisp sometimes apparently, and I would like to obtain locks similar to the appearance of yours. Can you give me some advice? So Benjamin here wants to know how I started off my locks. Good question, Benjamin. You know, my hair was about nose length for my scalp, which was about 2 years of growth before I decided to start locking my hair. Usually you want to start at least by the 6-month point of hair growth before you can lock it and you'll get some little baby dreads. So when I first started my locks, I was researching about how to do dreadlocks. I had no idea what to do about them. All I knew that I was so enthusiastic about dreadlocks that I had to have them. What I did was I hopped on the computer, started Googling, Google, and all I saw was how to make dreadlocks, beeswax, palm rolling, backcombing. That's all I ever saw. Of course, that's the first way I tried to do dreads. But check this out though. Before I did my hair, I had a really big afro and I would wear it in my Rasta hat, push back, and it looked like I had dreads in there because of the way that my hair formed, but I really didn't. So I was at the mall looking for a pair of shoes and I went to the West 49 and there was a girl working there that had dreadlocks, these blonde, beautiful dreads. And you've seen her on my channel before in this video up here. You can check out that video. So I met my friend there. I didn't know her at the time, but she says to me, "Oh, hey, you have locks. They look nice. Can I see them?" I'm like, "Oh, actually, I don't have any. Like, it's you know, she got psyched out because it's just in my hair, in my head, on my hat." And but she has some cool locks going on. I wouldn't lie. And I was asking her about how she did it, and she's like showing me a bit. I was like, "Oh," she said she would show me how to do it. So I linked up with her, and she showed me how to interlock my hair the same way she did it. But I've never seen her technique before. She said she kind of made it up. Funny situation is that we sat down and she interlocked my hair, but she didn't separate my locks evenly, like the partitions here. They were just kind of like the way you freeform hair. You grab a bunch and you just make a dread, grab a bunch. She was doing that, but with interlocking. I liked the interlocking aspect of it, but I didn't like how the parts were not all even. So she did one, I didn't like it, I took it out, I went back on my quest to find a way to do my locks. That's when I came to Google and I saw backcombing with beeswax and palm rolling. So I went to another girl that has never done dreads before and I'm like, "Here, I want you to do this." I showed her a couple of videos, I'm like, "Do that to my hair." So she sections it off, puts a whole bunch of beeswax in there, backcombs it, and we start palm rolling. We put some rubber bands on the ends of the roots, and they started to like puff up and clump together, and they didn't look like dreads. It was really weird. And then all day I'd be palm rolling these little puffs of beeswax I had on my hair. And then someone told me, like, if you keep on palm rolling like that, you're gonna burst your dread because you thin it out like you're making a fire. And then they're gonna burst eventually, so I'm like, shit, this is not gonna work. And I noticed it's starting to happen. So I went home, went in the hot shower, washed out all the beeswax with hot water because that's the way to get the beeswax out of your hair. And I combed out all my dreads, and yes, I lost a lot of hair when I combed out my locks. But that's nothing new because even when I had braids, like cornrows, and I took the cornrows out, I lost a lot of hair. So it wasn't nothing new to me. After that point, I started to really look up, okay, how am I gonna do these hair? How am I gonna do these dreads the way I want them? And I started seeing this interlocking technique with a name, because when Cynthia did my interlocking the first time, we didn't call it interlocking, we didn't even know what it was called. But then I realized that it was called interlocking, but it was impossible to find information online on how to interlock your hair without having to pay for it in an ebook or some shit. So I found out that I needed a tool called a latch hook, went to the store, bought a latch hook, and I honestly sat there and tried to latch hook my hair myself. Didn't work all that well. My dad's like, "Hey, I know somebody that can help you with your hair." So I went to this black woman's salon and she did twists, and so basically she would take 2 strands of hair that I had and just twist them together until they locked. Bad thing was that twisting my type of hair is that it didn't lock ever. But she did section off my dreads perfectly in small, like 1/4 inch sections around my whole head. So that was the starting point because I had my hair sectioned the way I wanted it sectioned. Now with her strands that she did, I just kept them in, but as a new growth came through, that's when I learned how to interlock it through, and the strands never ended up twisting and locking. So I just kept interlocking the new growth until I had about 1 inch of new growth that was dreaded on my locks, because I knew that at that point that they were locked. They weren't gonna come undone any more than at the root. And then since I had the new dread growing, I would just undo the strand and then tie them back in knots all the way up. And then I used a crochet hook to bring in everything, and then that's how I made my locks, and that's where I'm at today. Really long story on how to do it, but you know, it took me 3-4 attempts until I finally got a way to do it myself. That's why it takes a lot of persistence, takes a lot of patience to get to a point where you have dreads that you're happy with. You gotta remember that they're never gonna be perfect. Even though you want perfect looking dreads, they're never gonna be perfect. So you gotta also remember that and accept the flaws in them and the imperfections, because it's those small things in dreads that you're gonna love a lot. So since your hair is similar to the way my hair is, I would suggest that you get somebody to section it off professionally, and then go ahead and start. You can even get it twisted at first, or single braids. Section it off really small and then get them single braided. And when the new growth comes in, interlock that new growth and focus on that for the first few months, on just interlocking the new growth, and then go back to the single strand twist or braid that you got done initially and focus on trying to make that more mature. So you can, for instance, if you got single braids, interlock the new growth, and then once the new growth is locked, you go back to the single braid and use like a crochet hook and start locking that up a bit more. Or if you got 2-strand twists that aren't locking together, undo it and then just tie knots all the way up through the hair using your latch hook or your crochet hook, and that's how you're gonna make dreads the same way that I made mine. I find it to be like more of an improvised technique, but it did work, as you can tell. So hopefully this video helps you out. My battery's about to die, so I'm gonna close down this video. But I hope that you guys liked it, and of course there's always new videos coming out every Saturday, so make sure you're subscribed to always be in tune with the new dreadlock-ish. And if you like this video, always be sure to like it and share. There's some buttons down there in the gobbledygoops where you can click and stuff. And of course, if you have any questions or comments or advice for Jake here, or advice for Benjamin here, you can leave them in the comments below, or you can email me at knotlocks@gmail.com with all your dreadlock photos, and you will probably get featured on the video channel, website, YouTube. Kabloop! So until next time, this is Knotlocks. I'll see you around with your beautiful dreads. Peace!